This is Inspired Wellness with Jessica, a safe space for women impacted by their emotions to unlock hope and discover ways to elevate emotional wellness holistically for long-term health and well-being. I am your host, Jessica, advanced EFT practitioner, holistic counselor, meditation therapist, and advanced life coach. Join me for real, raw conversations to educate and inspire you to take control of your emotional well-being. I am so grateful you are here with me. Let's dive straight in. Welcome to this episode of Inspired Wellness with Jessica. Today I come to you sitting on my bed with a sick toddler sitting next to me and Coco Melon playing in the background. So, mum in business life, right? Today I want to talk to you guys about stress and how stress is unavoidable, but suffering from it is not. Now, stress, as I'm sure you are aware, comes from everywhere. Okay, I've spoken about it before being a really quite generic term. Stress can come from things that we perceive as being stressful. And when we perceive these things as being stressful, so different events, things people have said to us, that feeling that we get when we have reached our threshold for coping, the things that we perceive as being stressful turn on our stress response. And that has a direct impact on your physical body. And then there's the stress that's actually in our body. So you may be feeling quite calm in your mind, but you may have injury that is putting stress on your body. You may be consuming foods or surrounding yourself with toxins that are actually putting your body into stress. And then you have triggers. So you may actually be feeling quite cruisy in life, but you might find that you have certain things that happen. And when those things happen, you are triggered by them. And those triggers are most likely subconscious. They're most likely an amygdala based memory. Okay, so tucked away somewhere in your amygdala where it has made an association between an emotional situation that you have encountered and something that is similar to that emotional situation. So might be triggered by different sounds or different noises. Noises are sounds. you might be triggered. You might be triggered by certain words or smells, and all of these things can cause stress. And what all of these things have in common, though, okay, the stress that we perceive, the stress that is affecting our body directly, and our triggers, and even our good stress, even the stress that we need to, say, reach a deadline, or the stress that we need to be able to, go for a jog or do our exercise or, get out the door on time. That good stress has its limitations as well. Because what all of these things have in common is that there is a bodily response when you are under stress. Okay, your stress response, your sympathetic nervous system causes bodily changes, such as your heart rate speeding up or your pupils dilating. Your digestive system doesn't function correctly. You have blood flow restricted to different areas of your body that it doesn't deem necessary, in a fight or flight response. But the thing is, when you are driving your car and you're running late for work and the traffic lights turn red, one after the other, after the other, after the other, after the other. And I'm sure you've all been in that situation before. When that happens, a fight or flight response isn't actually an appropriate response to that. But your body, your stress response does not know the difference between a real threat, such as an intruder or a car coming at you, or something that is going on within your body, an illness or something. It doesn't know the difference between a real threat and a perceived threat. And so anything that you are bringing to your attention is a perceived threat. because I might perceive something completely differently based on my life experiences, based on my beliefs, based on the work that I've done, completely differently to how you perceive something. So the common denominator is that every one of these stressors has impact on your body. And what happens when your body is in a long-term state of stress, it becomes a chronic state of stress, and it can lead to burnout, and it can impact your anxiety. If you are an anxious person, it has a direct impact on anxiety. It can cause digestive issues. It can cause muscle tension, chronic headaches. It can cause that feeling of that mental overload, where you just feel like, as I mentioned before, you've totally reached your coping threshold. There is not one more thing that can happen that you feel like you could cope with. When your body is in a state of long-term stress, you are creating a negative environment for your cells inside your body. So what you are doing is opening yourself up to actually longer-term illness or disease. So this is why I say stress is unavoidable, because when we look at all of the different areas, and that's not even all, but when we look at, some of the areas that stress could be coming into our life and into our body, you can see that some of those things aren't avoidable. But what is avoidable though is the suffering. And the suffering is what we just spoke about. The suffering is the lack of sleep, it's the mood changes, it's the burnout, the illness, the anxiety, the muscle tension, the joint pain, all of the changes that happen within your body, the period, the menstrual changes. So, how do you not suffer? If stress is unavoidable, how do you actually not suffer? How do you not allow these things to take impact on your body when it seems like you have no control over your fight or flight response? And I have two answers for that. The first is awareness. You need to become aware of your body. You need to become aware of your triggers. You need to learn your body's early warning signs and become familiar with those so that when you notice them, you have an awareness that stress is actually starting to impact you more than just for those moments. Those moments where you feel stressed, that is going to happen. But what we need to be making sure of is that we are not stuck in that long-term state of stress, which for the majority of people in this world right now, we are. We are stuck in that state because we don't have a clear ending to the danger. We don't have a clear ending to the end of the stress so that our parasympathetic nervous system can come in and take over and put you back into a state of rest and digest where you can function healthfully. So you want to become aware of your perceptions, the thoughts that cause you stress, the thoughts that maybe, are valid or are not valid, are true or not true. You want to become aware of your environment. So awareness is a really key player in not allowing yourself to suffer from stress. Become aware of any patterns that you may be repeating, any stories that you might be telling yourself. Become aware of the language you're using. If somebody says to you, "How are you going?" and you go, "Oh, I'm really good. Yeah, I'm really stressed though," or "Work's really stressful," or "The kids are stressful." Become aware of that language, because the more you repeat that to yourself, to your friends, to your family, to your colleagues, the more you are going to believe. You are going to ingrain that story into your mind. And so the second part of this answer, how to not suffer from stress, is to make plans. Okay. So, as I said, you are always going to have something that is going to be wanting to cause you stress in your life. There's something that could potentially become stressful for you and build and build and build. But if you learn techniques such as mindfulness, and you implement that as a lifestyle. If you learn effective stress management techniques such as stress management journaling, worry time journaling, EFT. So EFT, obviously I talk about it all the time. I'm an advanced practitioner, and EFT will lower the cortisol in your body by 43% in just an hour. So EFT is really effective not only for disconnecting the emotion that is coming from the thoughts that you are having about the things that are stressing you, but also on, an actual physical level as well of releasing that cortisol. Meditation. If you have a plan for the things that you can control, okay, so that's where learning that effective stress management journaling techniques comes in. If you have a plan for the things that you can control, and then you also have a protection plan for the things that are not in your control. And by protection plan, I mean, how are you going to be releasing the stress from your body? Okay. And that's where we're doing the tapping. That's where we're practicing regular meditation, regular exercise. Okay. That's where we're watching our diet. That's where we're becoming aware of our language. What is your protection plan for the things that you don't actually have control over, or the stress in your life that is unavoidable? So, the big takeaway message here is that if you are being affected by stress, it is going to impact you in more ways than just feeling stressed. Okay, it has a role and effect in your body, it has a role and effect in your life, in your moods, in your emotions, anxiety, burnout. That will have a role on effect in your family, your work. If stress is affecting you, then you are going to need to be prepared to commit to some sort of action plan. And this really is self care. This is absolutely self care. Committing to do the work to protect your body from long term chronic stress is self care. And that might be something like learning how to manage daily stress, having tools up your belt for long term stress, and taking care of yourself daily through a 5 to 10 minute practice of some tapping or some meditation, through regular exercise. So, this kind of commitment is completely and completely, utterly worth it if you are experiencing stress. And to be honest, even if you're not, it's still worth it, because that kind of self care is going to help you to prevent illness. It is going to help you to really improve your overall health and well being, your overall mindset, your overall emotional state. I like to think of this kind of stress as being like a toxic relationship, particularly in the way the behavioral patterns, that we tend to pick up when we're in a state of stress, whether that might be, that we deal with it through having a wine at night to relax, or it might be a bar of chocolate that relaxes you, or it might be, a 2 hour mindless scroll through your phone that relaxes you. And the thing is, these things aren't relaxing you. They're actually putting more stress on your body. And you might feel a bit relaxed, but they're actually putting more stress on your body when you then look at the fact that the things that you consume in your body are going to cause you stress. When you look at the impact that blue light has on your eyes, for example, if you're scrolling for 2 hours, then that is going to cause a physical strain on your body that will put your body under stress. So the behavioral patterns that we have to cope aren't always healthy, and they're not always resourceful. And this is just like in a toxic relationship. It really is. You develop these behavioral patterns, this way of responding, this way of reacting, this way of keeping yourself safe. Okay, because ultimately we are wired for survival. So any choice that we make when it comes to dealing with stress or dealing with anxiety, in some way, our brain has used that technique to protect us previously. Okay, in some way, it is just your mind trying to protect you. So, when you develop awareness of what is going on and how you are coping with your stress, then you are going to then be able to make choices about that as well. And it is just like in a relationship, which is why I say you need to break up with your chronic stress and you need to be open to a healthy relationship with stress. And a healthy relationship looks like finding ways to cope that help your stress response to switch off and your relaxation response to switch on. Because that is where your body is in its optimal function. Okay, that is where your digestive system is working at its optimum. That is where your energy levels are going to be at their optimum. That is where your sleep quality is going to be at its optimum. That is where your mental clarity is going to be at its optimum. So, relaxation based self care, in my opinion, is essential. Now, I have a free training that is running from the 22nd of May to the 27th of May, 3 times a day. And it is called Break Up with Your Stress. And we are going to discuss exactly that. We are going to discuss what is happening within your body, what a modern fight or flight response looks like, how you can recognize that within yourself, how you can begin to recognize your triggers. And also, we are going to look into techniques to support stress, whether you are experiencing it mentally, whether you are experiencing it physically, or whether you are experiencing it emotionally. We're going to look at holistic techniques that you can learn to actually support that. So, if this is something that you are interested in, then you need to head to inspiredlifecollective.com.au/break up with stress. And that's where you can register. And if you are listening to this podcast later, past the 27th of May, then please flick me an email, jessica@inspiredlifecollective.com.au, and I will arrange to get you a copy of that training. Guys, that's it for another episode. If you would like to chat to me further about your stress and how we can come up with a personalized plan for you, then please reach out for a free chat. I would absolutely love to help. Thank you for listening to Inspired Wellness with Jessica. If you enjoyed and found value in today's episode, then please help it to reach others who may also benefit by subscribing on your favorite platform and leaving a review. This would mean the world to me. To get in touch with me, inquire about working privately, or experience one of my online programs, then head to www.inspiredlifecollective.com.au, and I will see you on the next episode.